Frank is the founder of the 501c3 nonprofit educational public charity coalition against over-medicating our youth. The state of Michigan board-certified pharmacist with over 31 years of consultative pharmacy experience, specializing in ADHD. He specializes in ADHD, stimulant, psychiatric medications, as well as nutrition physiology. He wrote this book. He was an expert in ADHD advisor, helping children and adults determine cause of ADHD, depressive, aggressive behavior by ruling out nutritional, neurophysiological, and environmental risk factors prior to premature drug therapy. He's the author of 2 books, The American Epidemic, Solutions for Over-Medicating Our Youth, and the Public Awareness Guide for ADD and Psychiatric Medications. And he's a strong advocate here of NanoCore Life. Frank, can you come on in and share just maybe a little bit about your story and how you find yourself at NanoCore Life and your perspective on the offering that NanoCore Life has put on the table? So big welcome to you. Thanks for taking the time, Frank.
Thank you, Rob. And yeah, for everybody to know, I've been doing clinical pharmacy practice now. This is my 35th year. And like Rob said, I'm very passionate about kids and over-medicating children, especially, as well as the young adult population. It's just an epidemic, not only in the United States, but worldwide. So that's where my passion lies. And, I've been in and out of the nutritional physiology business as far as supplements go. In other words, how can we optimize our body and mind to, go after that anti-aging process, as we're all involved with, right? Day in and day out. And, my wife and I are both 59 years old. She's also a clinical pharmacist as well. And, like I say, the products, like you say, Rob, there's so many companies out there nowadays, and I've experienced some in the past. But, when NanoCore was brought to me by Christy, Rohr, who's our chief operating officer, I went up and down the ingredient list, and what people need to understand, and let me just focus on the super greens just for a quick moment. You can't find a super greens product. Number one, it's got to taste good, because, I can't tell you, Rob, how many times in the past decades I've tried, so many people have had me try their super greens. And we all know why that's important for not only mental health, but the gut health. And there's an interchange that happens there with the brain gut connectivity. We need to make sure, no matter what we're trying to achieve with anti-aging, you have to go to the core. You have to get your gut in balance. Okay. So there's 45 super greens with fruit pectins, all natural, organic, vegan friendly, and it's a dynamite taste. When you look at Proactive here, greens, just a plethora of super greens, including the spirulina, chlorella, our algae. But, the taste, again, is dynamite. I love that product. The CBD, the Slim Core Java, and then the sleep gummies at night. It's an easy to use system. And that's what people want, Rob. They want people, if people care about anti-aging, they want to make sure they can incorporate this into their daily lives easily. So that's what the great backdrop of NanoCore Life is. And for the business experience, can't say enough about it. You're in a great spot right now with pre-launch in the US as well as other countries. So we got a dynamite product line and more to come. So that's a lot more products in the pipeline that'll be coming out shortly in the next quarter.
I love it. I think that's going to be very exciting, Frank, when people see that. Let's focus in for just a moment. I know that I think there was some research I was reading that digestive aids is a major thing that people come into the pharmacy for. A lot of people have problems with digestion, and I think this is an exciting piece here that we've got in the Proactive Greens, where we talk about digestive support. Could you talk to that for a minute, Frank, and maybe some of the things that people are using that could be harmful over the long term, for digestive support? I know my dad, he always had a bottle of something called Tums beside his bed, for digestive aid, but this is something spectacular here.
Yeah, yeah, Rob, chronic digestive disorders or conditions, if you will, in the United States, there's over 20 million Americans that suffer from this, and we're talking about not just, there's many more than that, but we're talking about clinically diagnosed chronic digestive disorders, including, leaky gut syndrome, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, et cetera. So what we need to understand is many people, they search for supplements, Rob, but they really don't have the background or the good advice, and that's what I call it, good, sound, educational advice, what it takes to get your gut health back to normal. And the detriments, like you're talking about, when they go to the drug therapies, unfortunately, through traditional medicine, the big pharma, they like these types of, for example, reflux type of prescription drugs. They leach the magnesium, which is a very critical mineral that our bodies need for cellular growth, et cetera. It just leaches it right out of the body over long-term use. So what we need to do is get to root cause. And when we talk about super greens, that's going after root cause reversal of symptoms. And, people need to be patient though, Rob. A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to take this, and 2 days later, I'm going to be doing great, right? But that's not the way our mind and body works, especially with gut health. You got to be patient. And we want to strive for GMO-free foods, genetically modified free foods. And what that means is, what people don't realize is, corporate America has taken over the food chain here in the US, and I'm sure worldwide in Canada and other countries as well. We have to understand, strive for genetically free food, modified free foods, get on a whole foods diet, more fiber into your diet. And when you incorporate not only the super greens, but also the CBD, that liquid CBD that we have, the nanotechnology CBD, it's a very potent gut anti-inflammatory, not only for the gut, but the neurological CNS system as well. So when we talk about gut health, get to the root cause, and super greens with the CBD is a dynamite 1-2 punch to get people on track.
Yeah, I love that. And Frank, when we talk about alkalizing blend, I know there's been a lot of chat about alkalizing and keeping your body alkaline as much as possible. When we see that in the greens, that they call it an alkalizing blend. Could you kind of expand on that and unpack that a little bit for us?
Yeah, alkalinization of the blood and the body, if you will. When you look at the super greens that are in the formulation, Rob, it's power packed with alkalizing type of super greens. For example, like I just mentioned, the chlorella, spirulina, many others as well. We have to make sure alkalinity is what people need to understand when we look at cancer rates. Now, in the last 2 years, since the COVID epidemic worldwide, cancer rates right now are beyond an epidemic occurrence now. And one of the ways that we can help our bodies, mind and bodies, kind of combat that is get into alkalinity. And what does that mean? We want a pH of our blood or urine close to about 7.3, right around there is total alkalinity. And if your body is in an alkaline state, it can ward off. Number one, metabolic processes within the cells become optimized. And this, again, gets to anti-aging. But more importantly, these chronic digestive disorders and chronic diseases like cancer can be prevented by just simply getting your body to alkalinity. So super greens is definitely that part. Plays an important role with that. But again, CBD, I can't say enough about that. There's so much research now, Rob, with the CBD that we have, nanomolecular CBD, cancer prevention, et cetera. And the research, it keeps coming. I mean, in the last 2-3 years, you can't deny the importance of this 1-2 punch going forward.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I guess with things like the proactive greens, more specifically, is there any way we can take too much of it, or is it okay if people use it more than once per day if they felt like they wanted an extra drink, or is it something we should just limit to a once per day?
No, I personally take 2 a day. And the reason is, I know, and your body and mind, your daily regimen of what you're doing day in and day out. I'm a very busy person. So obviously I'm not sitting down and getting my good fiber and vegetables into my body daily, right? So I take one before I leave for the hospital, and maybe even have one during, when I get home, even before dinner. You can't overdose on it. That's the beauty of this. And I want to make one other point about with cancer, Rob. I'd like everybody to start looking, and there's so many good water ionizers. We want to strive for water intake. Number one, it's got to be pure, right? We don't want to be taking any, high concentration of fluoride or even metals in our water supply that we're drinking, because we do need 50 ounces plus of good purified water. But try and get an ionizer in the house. And the reason is, when we get water into our bodies that are negatively charged, not positively charged, what happens is our cells become more hydrated. You've heard a lot of people, they drink a ton of water, but I do a lot of blood report assessment and analysis, and people, we find out more than not, Rob, even though they're drinking a ton of water a day, their bodies are dehydrated. Their chloride, their ions and chloride are just way off the map. And the reason is, we want to make sure negatively charged water, and you can do that through ionizers. In other words, you can buy those anywhere on Amazon. You don't have to spend a fortune, but start incorporating that into your daily living or regimen. If you can, get a good 20 ounces at least of good quality ionized water as well.
Wow, that is so important. Thank you for sharing that, Frank. Really appreciate it. And so we look at the offering that NanoCore Life has, and I know you're a big advocate of the CBD. What are you using the beverage enhancer? And if so, how do you use that? Or do you mostly focus on the sweet dreams for stress and sleep?
Well, I do use just the one gummy, even though I sleep good through the night. Like I say, let's talk about the nighttime. You want to make sure you're getting that deep REM sleep. So I always incorporate just one gummy at night. That's got approximately 20 milligram of the Nano water soluble CBD. And again, there's no THC component in any of the NanoCore products. So just be aware of that. So there's no psychoactive component. And then during the day, I just simply take the 1 milliliter. As soon as I wake up in the morning, large glass, about 10 ounces of water. And then I add a fresh squeezed lemon, and then I put the CBD in that, and I just go with that. Now, with that said, there's a lot of people struggling, Rob, with neurobehavioral disorders. And I want to let people know that, and you can work with your physician if you'd like, but, we find some clients and patients, they require, 2, 3, or even 4 milliliters throughout the day. And these are patients that are, have a neurologic type of condition. And as long as their doctor's aware of it, we can titrate upwards on that CBD. And it's a very effective intervention. And it allows the practitioner to kind of bring down the dosage of these prescription medications that patients kind of get bombarded with when they have neurological disorders. So be aware of that. It's a very therapeutic NanoCore's water soluble CBD. So we can go upwards on that, depending on what you're dealing with as far as a chronic disease.
I love it. Well, this is amazing, Frank. And I know you've got a big holiday coming tomorrow, and of Thanksgiving there in the U.S. We're up here in Canada. We had ours about a month ago. But just from the community here, and I know a lot of people that join us on Mondays and Thursdays, we just wanted to express our gratitude to you, Frank, for, first of all, always coming on the calls and making yourself available like this. It's truly amazing, and we're very thankful to have you as part of the community here and be that voice to help us kind of navigate through some of the information that's out there and understand the importance of what we have here at NanoCore Life. So big shout out to you, Frank. Any last thoughts or comments today before we close up?
Yeah, I can't say enough about NanoCore Life, and I thank Christy, our Chief Operating Officer for the company, bringing this to light. And just like you said, it's a navigation issue, right? Many people need that good pathway, and there might be bumps in the road. So be patient with your mind and body. People need to understand, the current product line that we have, it's just a dynamite synergistic regimen, very easy to use, and more good things to come, Rob. And thank you as well for being on board and helping people go forward.